Hello 8th grade families. This video will give you more information about what our 8th grade math year will look like. I shared this with our students on Tuesday this week, but wanted to make sure that all the families had this information as well. Our year is going to be split into 10 units, and you can see those 10 units on the screen right now. The first unit, the one we're working on right now, is about working with exponents, square roots, and scientific notation. Then we'll move into Unit 2, multiple representations of proportional and linear relationships. Unit 3 is on solving linear equations and systems of equations. Then we'll start working on functions in Unit 4 and 5, understanding rational and irrational numbers in Unit 6. We'll move into geometry in Units 7, 8, and 9, and we'll end the year on our statistics unit on bivariate data. We will be using the mid-school math curriculum all year, and each unit will consist of 2 to 4 math standards, so each one will take about 2 to 4 weeks. They'll have 2 to 4 mid-school math lessons, 1 lesson cycle per standard. We'll also have standards checks or quizzes that will be completed after every lesson cycle, and at the end of the lesson we'll have a day for unit review and a unit assessment. So the diagram here shows you sort of what a unit would look like. Starting with lesson 1, which will take 4 to 5 days, and then we'll do a standards check or a quiz after that. We'll do the second lesson cycle that'll take 4 to 5 days, another standards check or quiz. Afterwards, we might need to do 1 or 2 more lessons and it'll follow the same pattern. And then at the end, we'll do a unit review and then we'll do a unit test. The assignments that your students get during the lessons will go into Synergy Gradebook, but they will not be a part of their final grade. They will always take a standards check after every lesson cycle. Those standards checks are non-graded quizzes. The only part of their official grade will be the unit test. That'll happen at the end of the unit. So the assignments are non-graded, the quizzes are non-graded, the unit test is graded. All of the assignments, quizzes, and unit tests will be shown in Synergy, so you'll be able to see those through Parent View. Your kids should already be familiar with the mid-school math curriculum. This is a diagram that kind of shows what those 4 or 5 days would look like. We always start with a math simulation. That's the first day, followed by some sort of practice work. It could be the simulation trainer or it could be something else, some sort of exploratory activity. We'll follow that with some direct teacher instruction, some practice problems, a clicker quiz, and time for student reflection. At the end of all these activities, that's when we'll do a quiz on the learning targets from that particular lesson. This is what a quiz would look like. Remember, they're not a part of the official grade. They cover one standard. They might be broken down into 1 to 3 learning targets that are specific. Their scores, once they complete the quiz, their scores for the particular learning target will go up in the checked boxes at the top. So they can either get an IN for incomplete, a DP for developing, a CP for close to proficient, or a PR for proficient. I don't give highly proficient scores for our quizzes, only for our unit assessments. Although these are non-graded assignments, non-graded quizzes, they will all show up in Synergy, and all students who get an incomplete, a close to proficient, or a developing will be invited and expected to attend small group tutoring with me the following week to revise the quiz. This is sort of what a unit assessment would look like. We'll usually do 2 to 4 of these per quarter, depending on how many units we get through. All of our final unit assessments are open notebook, which means that students can use any practice problems, any quizzes, or any notes that are in their math composition book. Each unit assessment will be split into 2 pieces. The first piece will be questions from the current unit of study, and all students will receive 1 grade for that part of the assessment. The second half of the assessment will be from the previous unit, so it gives our students a second chance to show knowledge of the math standards. They'll receive a separate grade for those questions, which means that each unit assessment that the student takes will go into the Synergy gradebook as 2 separate scores. Each assessment will also have a question that's considered a highly proficient question. In order to get a highly proficient on the test, they must answer that one correctly as well. And then, as always, all work must be shown to receive credit on the problems. Students are always encouraged to retake any unit assessment. To retake a unit assessment for a proficient, they'll need to fill out a unit assessment retake form, and then they can either retake the test or they can produce what's called a unit knowledge poster. If a student is not good at taking tests, this might provide them with a different way to demonstrate their knowledge of the material. In this class, we'll be using the proficiency-based grading system, DP standing for developing, CP close to proficient, PR proficient, and HP highly proficient. This table will give you a little bit more explanation about what those mean. The table on the right will show you how Synergy uses all of the scores in the gradebook to determine the level of proficiency. For example, to get a highly proficient, a student would either have 67% highly proficient scores, 33% proficient scores, and no close to proficient or developing. To get a proficient, students would need at least 71% highly proficient or proficient, with no more than 29% being close to proficient. They cannot have any developing. Feel free to pause this video and look through in more detail how this is going to be scored. All of the materials for this course will be linked on my curriculum calendar. So if you want to figure out what we'll be doing in class for the day, if you want to see our daily agenda slides, all of our learning targets, any of that stuff, all you have to do is click on the curriculum calendar. I'm going to be sending you a link to this curriculum calendar, and this is what I use for my own planning. Let me open this up now so you can see it. See if I can make this any bigger. I think that because you cannot see it, I am going to make a separate video about this curriculum calendar and link it on this email. Okay, so that is the end of the slides that I showed the kids on Monday. If you click on the other video, I'll show you this curriculum calendar where you can see all the information.